Okay, well, hello. I'm Victor. I'm the CEO of PlastiBric. We make stronger, lighter, and durable construction bricks of plastic waste. There are global issues with plastic pollution in brick industry that we must address now. For bricks, its manufacturing process is responsible for 8% of global CO2 emissions, and its current weight has high costs of transportation, steel infrastructure, and labor. For plastic, it is a waste problem growing exponentially in every city, since recycling is only able to process 5% of this waste globally. The rest is burned or goes to oceans, rivers, and landfills. Plastic waste and legacy concrete cause a combined 12% of CO2 global emissions, posing a great threat to our planet and our survival. To combat this, how might we repurpose plastic waste into construction materials? The answer is PlastiBric. It is a stronger, lighter, and long-lasting construction brick made out of 100% recycled plastic, which lowers time, cost of labor, and carbon footprint. It's composed by plastic waste materials, which are recovered, sorted, and turned into solid construction bricks. Since plastics are not biodegradable and waterproof, PlastiBric doesn't crumble and lasts for decades. It is 3 times lighter and twice as hard than traditional bricks, diminishing cost of transportation, labor, steel, and maintenance. In close proximity to landfills, where independent recycling communities collect and sort plastic materials, we install cutting-edge satellite manufacturing facilities housed in portable containers. We buy this plastic per kilogram, process it, and transform it into solid PlastiBric blocks, which are sold and shipped directly to real estate developers through independent transporters. There's a huge market already. $1,700 billion is the current value of concrete block and brick manufacturing, growing exponentially at 5.79% each year. There are 353 million tons of plastic waste that are being thrown in the open, and in the US alone, there are 3.9 million construction businesses growing 2.8% each year. There are growing trends and infinite raw material with steady price to work with. PlastiBric is fully aligned with 5 sustainable development goals. End of poverty, since we create jobs in local recycling communities that collect and sort plastic waste. Ensuring sustainable consumption and production. We take plastic waste and turn it into construction materials, avoiding destruction of ecosystems. And we make cities sustainable by creating a dynamic of sustainable and affordable housing. According to lab testing results, PlastiBric outperforms legacy bricks in several key areas. It is not only lighter in weight, but also longer and lasting with an increased lasting performance. Additionally, PlastiBric won't crumble or deteriorate due to harsh weather conditions, making it a reliable and cost-effective choice for any construction project. Plus, it doesn't require cement to assembly. Instead, simple carpentry, screws, and tools can be used to put it together.
1 minute warning.
Construction can be more efficient, affordable, and sustainable than ever before. So far, we have de-risked our supply chain, securing a supply containers of plastic with 2 recycling unions. We have validated a repeatable and scalable manufacturing process, and we have a functional product that has been validated with 3 letters of intent from real estate developers. We're raising $500K to invest in a satellite manufacturing facility, sales and marketing activities, and research and development. With this investment, we'll be able to ramp up our manufacturing capacity and generate an equivalent of 3 houses daily. At a price of 60 cents per brick, this is $2 million in our recurring revenue. We are seasoned teams of 3 with hands-on experience of circular economy and manufacturing development processes involving metal and plastic.
And time
Help us
is up.
improve and disrupt the construction industry. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing everything, Victor. Thanks. It's really interesting what you guys are doing. Well, I'm bringing in the other investors. Quick question I have is, bricks and construction have lots of regulations. Do you have any potential issues or any worries about how you're going to get these approved in different jurisdictions?
Yeah, this it depends on the jurisdiction, basically. So basically, in Europe and the United States, you have more time or more. There are more regulations in place, but in countries such as Mexico or Colombia, there's are not like strict regulations around construction blocks. So our go-to-market strategy will be to begin with those countries where there's an unregulated market regarding approval of said materials, and move forward to other bigger markets where regulations are in place, but it's not impossible, but it will take some months to get there.
Very good. Then Niels, you want to take things away?
Yeah, sure. I think the regulation part is like big on everyone's minds. I get your idea of going into unregulated markets. What's your traction in those markets? You say you've got 3 letters of intent. Are they in which countries are they? What quantities do you foresee you can sell to these people? And yeah, what kind of safety testing potentially have you done if you're not going with regulation?
I'll share the comparison chart, so we can see the main variables that are relevant in concrete blocks. So basically, we run a lab test within our university facility. We test this block for moisture absorption, weight, compression, the break model, and water absorption. So basically, PlastiBric outperforms concrete blocks, and this was made in Colombia, where you only need to prove that that you comply with these kind of variables, and you're ready to go. It takes a week for this to be achieved in a independent certification facility. So it's a straightforward process. So we did product development in Colombia. We're based in the United States, and since we have already landed in Colombia, we will begin by developing this market, and the letters of intent are from Colombian developers.
Okay, understood. And in terms of staying with the safety issue, just then I'll hand it over to the other investors. How do they perform in terms of fire retardants?
In terms of, sorry, I didn't.
So how flammable are your blocks? Are they fire retardant? I mean, plastic lends itself to burning quite well.
You need to apply 400 degrees of temperature for it to burn. So basically, they're very stable in terms of temperature.
What about weight? I feel like if I have something made out of bricks that's designed to stay still because it's heavy and it's not quite so heavy, it's much more likely to tip.
This is three times lighter than your average block, but basically it is not like steady because the brick itself, but it has steel inside it. So steel is what bring stability to constructions or housing facilities. So basically, when you have a lighter weight, you will need less steel to support this infrastructure. So you will have cost saving there without sacrificing stability in the construction. Basically, when you have heavier constructions made of concrete, this is a more risky construction. Since if there's an earthquake or something like that, it will, will be prone to fall or crack, while a lighter infrastructure with, same steel will not do that.
Sorry, can I also jump in on the specifications of the bricks? What about not humidity, but like breathability? Because I always thought bricks, like the material is very important, that it has a certain throughput of air or something, that humidity within the house is not too high.
No, the thing with plastic is that you will have a temperature isolation, while other bricks or traditional bricks will not. So basically, it is 18 degrees outside, you will feel 18 degrees inside. So what happens with plastic is that it isolates temperature and sound also. So you can see that this is a better material to isolate temperature.
And how can it be integrated into the conventional building process, or can it be integrated? Or do the processes have to be adjusted quite a lot?
With this, or to work with PlastiBric, you will need a carpentry tools. Yes, in a traditional construction environment, you will need cement. You will need different, or heavy machinery to put together this kind of blocks. We're offering that same block, which is lighter, and you won't need cement to work with this. You can use just screws, and you will be using the same steel and the same materials that you need to build houses. So, basically, the education is very little for it to start, being adopted by stream market. And also, it is faster. It is faster to put a screw into 2 blocks than to put cement and wait for it to solidify. So it's a faster construction this way. And the education on the part of the customer is very little, because they have already the materials and the tools for this.
They're screwed together?
Yeah, they're screwed. They're not, they do not need cement. You only need a carpentry screw to assemble, or to put together 2 blocks. But anyway, you will be using steel and concrete as you do so, but in less quantities.
I would have one more question, if I may, and then cool. How far are you with the manufacturing process? How developed is it already?
We have already the design of this. We're raising money in order to construct a manufacturing facility. So far, we have made this with a maquila, an ally that allowed us to create our prototypes. But we use off-the-shelf equipment. There is not a specialized equipment that we need to develop. And so far we have validated this, manufacturing times, machines that we need, infrastructure, space, a simulation process to know the throughput of the production throughput. So we have validated these different variables, and we're raising money to build the thing to manufacture thousands of blocks.
Wonderful. Thanks, Victor. A couple more questions on my end. So when you're kind of working with your current customers right now, it looks like you have a couple of LOIs based on your deck. Have you guys prototyped with your customers, and have they given you any feedback in terms of what's working and what's not?
Yeah, the main feedback, or during our customer discovery process was pricing. We needed to compete directly with the pricing that they were getting from other, legacy companies that offer, basically the same block. So although this is a premium block, if you as you can see, we need to offer the same pricing that they're getting actually. So that was the main feedback that they gave to us. Other feedback is that different real estate developers work with different blocks. So that's why we need to create different patterns, not one kind of block. So that's, this is like a more a Lego pattern that we developed to validate with customers. And this is more like a block pattern that is more, widely available in market. So we need to, adapt to the pattern of the brick that the construction builder is working with. So those were the two basic feedback, was pricing and the block pattern that is very heterogeneous among real estate developers.
That's helpful. So that kind of feeds into my second question. So would you say pricing is on par with your competition? Or
That's
would
right.
you say, okay, so you're trying to make pricing competitive. And then what about like your margins? So how do your margins look in terms of like creating the actual block, in terms of costs? Do you feel like that's fairly competitive with, your competitors?
In mass production, gross margin is 70%, 70% of each block.
And then what's the time frame to kind of get to that 70%? Would you say 6 months, a couple of years? What's your time frame?
Once we get the funding, within the next 6 months, we will get to that price or those margins.
Great. And then you are trying to create the product in-house, is that right? And not use a co-manufacturer to create the product.
No, this is a trade secret in terms of manufacturing and the mixture of plastics that are used. So, but to create the prototypes, we did this with an ally that already has the machinery of this. But yeah, once we get the machinery, it will remain as a trade secret.
Okay, so you're doing the trade secret path and not patenting your technology.
That's right. Because patents are very local to each country, and then it can take 6-8 months to get a patent. We can just go to market with a trade secret. We can just go to market with our trade secret.
Okay, wonderful. And then are you looking to kind of build out any other like services or product lines to complement what you guys are doing right now?
Yeah, we have thought about launching maybe tiles, tiles on tiles that go in the roof. But we believe, and this is a preliminary belief, that we can replace concrete altogether with plastic. So that's like a huge ambition, yes. But we think that plastic have better properties than concrete, and we can get there, but it will take some time. Right now, we just began with a basic product that everybody understand, and like while we get to product market fit, but we have a big ambition about taking out legacy concrete forever.
Wonderful. And then my last question is, have you compared the kind of emissions of concrete /and/or bricks with what your process right now for recycling plastic and using it for other purposes, or any emissions that are resulting from the plastic?
Like we calculate this is that each kilogram of recycled plastic equals 2.5 kilograms in CO2 savings. Yes, so you can multiply a 1.6 kilogram that weighs one of our bricks by 2.5, and that's like the CO2 savings that we will have per year. Yes, so that's how we have calculated this. But I know that
per year,
no, per unit. Like
okay.
This this weight, 1.6 kilograms. If you multiply this by 2.5, you will get, the CO2 savings per unit. So if you scale this to the yearly production, you will get the CO2 savings. We're thinking about 200,000 metric tons of CO2 per year.
I might have missed this, but are your plastic bricks also recyclable?
Yeah, you can at the end of their life cycle, you can melt this and create a different material or create more bricks. So there's a zero waste process involved in creating these blocks.
And when the blocks burn, what type of so let's say you've got a house fire. What happens with the blocks? I know burning plastic can oftentimes have a lot of cancerous kind of after components or carcinogens coming out if you burn plastic.
Well, if this is the case, that it will be equivalent to incinerating plastic, which has been done so far globally, but that's like.
But not in like your city or not in like your house.
But what I'm getting is that what happens is if a house burns, yes, this will basically or be equivalent to burning plastic and with the equivalent CO2 emissions, but that relates to a tragedy.
Sorry, I wasn't talking so much about CO2 emissions. I was talking about your neighbor's house burns down. Are you poisoning the entire block with cancer because of the burning of plastic and other people breathing that in? Normally it's segregated away from where plastics are burned, if that makes sense.
Oh, so you like it, yeah, if you burn it, it will release a toxic, a toxic emission like the plastic does, but that's as I said, a tragedy, and that's a property of the material.
Any last questions, folks?
Yeah, I just wondered who else is doing this and how do you compare to them? Because now we've got like the comparison to concrete blocks, but it'd be good to see what the landscape looks like.
Okay, absolutely. We have known different startups that are doing this in different jurisdictions. For example, you have Diffusion in the United States, but what they created was like the technology itself that they sell to municipalities to process their own plastic and create like a very big block. We have known in Asia, there's another company, I think it's called EcoBricks, something like that. And they make like this very similar block to this, but they're aiming for the civil, or to construct roads, yes. And we know another company in Argentina that is creating this kind of blocks, but for interiors or for one-story buildings. Our main competitive advantage is that with PlastiBric, you can create 2 or more story buildings, and you don't need to educate people in how to use these products because, it's the same block that you are getting from your provider. So yeah, basically we're different since we are aiming for replacing the block itself, and we're not selling the technology or using it for interiors only.